Welcome back to the Metaphysics series. In this series, you and I explore some visuals that I've been given, or we've been given, by beings looking like this. And in this video, we are going to continue to speak about time, because we are going to speak about timelines and parallel time. So what is a timeline? Right now, you are watching this video. That's in the present, right? But before you started this video in the past, maybe there was a few other things that you thought about doing. Now let's pretend that you were considering or wondering if you were going to 1. Go for a walk, 2. Watch this video, or 3. Call a friend. If we were to paint out a film, or as I did say in the previous video, a movie role for every option. We have one movie in which you're going for a walk, a second movie that we are in right now where you watch this movie, and then we have a third movie where you decided to call a friend. Depending on what you did choose, the movie will look differently. Let's pretend that you were determined to do all of these things this very day. But even though you do all of the things the same day, the film and the movie will still look differently. You see, if you watched this video before you went on a walk, on the walk you would think about this video. You will process what is being said in this video during the walk. But if you did go for the walk before you watched this video, you would not process this video. Instead, you might be processing or thinking about some drama the other night, or who knows, maybe just thinking about the person you're in love with or something. Could be anything really. But depending on what order we do things, our lives look differently. Let's take another example. Let's use Molly here. We pretend that Molly is on her way to work. And when she exits her building, she can choose to either go right or left, because she is going to the subway, which is straight across the building in front of her now. So she can either go right, subway, or left, to the subway. And maybe we could actually add a third option here, because Molly, well, she is running late, but she forgot her favorite necklace. So she has the 3 options right now. Either she go right, left, or she goes upstairs to grab her favorite necklace. And now we are going to pretend a little bit more. Let's pretend that to the right we have Molly's soulmate, the man of both her dreams and her life is standing there, and they haven't met yet. But if she go right, maybe they will bump into each other. And if she goes left, well, he's not there. So the chances of them bumping into each other will be very, very slim. And she can also choose to go upstairs. Question is, will her soulmate still be there? Now play with me here. Let's play with these 3 scenarios. We pretend 1, that Molly goes right. And we are gonna pretend that her and her soulmate bumps into each other. And yes, we are gonna pretend that he asks her out on a date. Right there and then it is a Tuesday. But on that Saturday, they are going on a date. Now let's pretend that Molly turns left instead. She will then not bump into her soulmate and she will not have a date planned that weekend. And now the third option of Molly running upstairs, grabbing her favorite necklace, running downstairs, calling a cab meanwhile so that she will get in time to work. Well, maybe she gets late to work. That Tuesday will look very different for Molly depending on what she chose to do. If she did go right, she will sit at work with the butterflies in her tummy. She will feel anticipation and excitement, and she will most likely be relatively happy compared to if she went to left. And her life just continued the way it was. And then we have the third movie of her running upstairs. She has her favorite necklace, so she feels fierce at work. Yet she did get a little late and she kind of feels guilty about it. So that Tuesday will look very differently to Molly depending on what she chose to do at that very moment of time. Let's portray this in another way. Instead of having the films, let's paint it like a tree. We have the moment Molly is exiting the building, and then we have the three options. Now, question is there always three options, or could there only maybe be two? Because when she did exit the building, she has two choices: either go to work or go back upstairs. If she chooses to go to work, then she gets to decide right or left. So is it 3? Is it 2? Is it 5? Is it 100? Or do we have infinite of possibilities available to us all the time? But if we were to simplify it and use the tree here, and we always divide it into 2, like the splitting of cells, that at least makes it easier for me to paint. So we choose a starting point. We split into 2, and then it continues on like that. Now the question is, if every orb or circle here is a fractal of a second in a person's life, do the tree here ever come together? Are there certain points in time that is predetermined? What if that date for Molly, that Saturday, is predetermined? So even though she goes left, her and her soulmate will bump into each other the next day instead. And then they will schedule the date on Saturday. Or maybe in the movie where she did go upstairs and grab her necklace, what if they met at a party that Friday and then they scheduled the date that Saturday? What do you think? Do you think that things are predetermined like that? The discussion about timelines certainly opens up for really interesting topics, such as, is there such a thing as things being predetermined? Do we have a free will, or is there a destiny? And if we have free will, what we desire to do, we are our soul. So if our soul wants to experience something, wouldn't our soul make sure that we choose whatever the soul wants to experience? And in that case, even though we perceive it to be free will, isn't that sort of what the soul already pre-planned before coming to Earth? Well, yeah, we are now having discussion of soul contracts. Is the soul writing a contract before coming to Earth or another planet? And in that contract, will it say whom that soul is supposed to meet and when? I do believe that the soul actually plans its own life before incarnating somewhere. I don't know if I believe the soul to be writing an actual contract. I believe soul contracts to be a construct of the human mind to try to understand something in a higher dimension. Because when it comes to higher dimensional phenomena and other reality phenomena, we will see that in a way that our physical brain and body can handle. So we could say that soul contracts are a translation for some sort of pre-programming. I do believe that the soul, before incarnating somewhere, decides what it wants to experience. I believe that we choose our challenges and our blessings. And I do believe that we have souls, other souls that we are supposed to interact with. And sometimes we do actually have a time frame on that. But usually, when it comes to divine timing, I believe that it's rarely about the soul choosing a date and a time. I do perceive that divine timing is very much about our frequency. But now what happens to the movies we're not choosing? Let's use Molly again. If Molly chooses to go right, will the other movies still exist? Are every opportunity a different reality? Even though we perceive there to only be one Earth, could it be that her going right will lead to her experience a reality where that is true, but a part of her will experience a reality where she did go left? Or will that reality never exist? Will it only be the reality she chooses that will exist? I think this is really, really fascinating and fun to think about. Because I do believe that we actually have multiple versions of our lives playing out simultaneously. So if we use the projection perspective again, we have the soul and we have the light stream and then the physical screen, which we translate to our physical body and the physical reality we are in. And every fractal of a second is a new version of reality. So what if Molly is able to, for a second before she went right, what if she actually started to play movie number 3? She started to go back upstairs to grab her favorite necklace, and then she realized that something felt a little bit off. She felt a force pulling her to the right instead. So what if she started to play movie number 3 and then she switched back to movie number 1? Or what if movie number 1 was always Molly going back inside and then going out? Will we ever know this? Well, again, I think this is so fascinating to think about. And one question that usually appears is, what happens to all the other versions? Well, what do you think? Could it be that the soul are able to play 3 movies at the same time, but we, with our human mind, are most often only able to perceive one of the movies at the time? Or again, do the different movies disappear? If we zoom out a little, here we have you, the life you're living right now, the expression of your soul that is having this experience. You, your personality, everything that makes you you. That's you. Then we zoom out and we get to what people call the oversoul. So here we have your oversoul, and there we find you. According to these beings, we live multiple lifetimes, and they are not happening after each other. They exist at the same time. No matter if we were to look at life after life after life, or for us, time here on Earth, second after second after second, we again, as we did in the previous video, could paint time linearly like this, with the past, present, and future. We could instead think about time as a circle, and then we can portray you in the middle of the circle. And then we could paint your whole life like a clock, like 1 year old, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. Now we're gonna say to 120. But every time I hear someone explaining time like this, I always hear the beings say, pull that person out from the center and up to the eagle perspective and turn that circle into an orb. As we did in the previous video, we portrayed many mini orbs in there, and we did say that every mini orb is your reality for a fractal of a second. For you to get to the next fractal of a second, your consciousness needs to jump to that next fractal of a second, as if our consciousness was jumping frame after frame after frame. But if we blur or just erase the mini orbs, a vision that I really love when it comes to time is thinking of a life like a snow globe. We have an orb. And in a snow globe, we usually find a snowman or a house. But now we pretend that inside that snow globe, we find your reality. And you at one point in time. We could start with the second you're born. And when we have a snow globe, we can turn it upside down and then straight back up again and have the snow falling. But now I want us to imagine, as we tilt your orb, we will see you in different ages. We will see different fractals of your life inside that orb. If we go back to the visuals we looked at in the previous video, we had you right here and now in that third dimensional cube, and then we added the linear dimension of time, the past and the future. We got a visual of the fourth dimension, but then we added more fourth dimensions on top and in the bottom. And we painted different versions of you or of someone in these cubes. So here we have 3 different versions of the same life. 3 different movies playing out of the same life. So what if we turn the snow globe like this, or your life orb like this, we see you in different ages. But what if we find different versions of you depending on what angle we tilt the globe in another direction? If we go back to the cubes, if we did tilt the snow globe to the right, maybe we get the version of your life up here, and if we tilt it to the left, we get your life right here. Because for every fractal of a second, we can choose what we want to do with our life. We can choose what we want to experience, whom we want to hang out with, and what we want to do. We may not feel like it, but we have so many options and such vast potential when it comes to live our life just the way we want to. And now the last visual that we will play with and present in this very video to help us expand our way of thinking is to look at your oversoul like this. And here we have many different snow globes, many different lives. What if your oversoul, or as I like to say, your full soul, your soul, are able to project and play all of these lifetimes simultaneously? And what if for every lifetime your soul is able to play multiple versions of a lifetime? Well, in the next video, we are going to continue to play with the idea of parallel lifetimes. We are going to look at how these parallel timelines might affect us, might affect the way we view ourselves. Because in the next video, we are going to speak about the phenomena that we here on Earth call starseeds.